I'm going to show you what you saw but didn't see. Come back to the titles and find out what I'm talking about. Hey everybody, Anthony Dodge, the model train outsider, the Märklin outsider, a Night of the Round Boy table, here with a follow-up video to my SteamerPalooza, Christmas SteamerPalooza live stream from Friday, December 19th. I did something I consider crazy. Maybe it's no big deal to many other people, but in the last year and a half, I have acquired a ton of steamers. Last year's SteamerPalooza, I think I had just enough steamers to fill every lane. This year, I had enough to fill every lane 3 times. So you can do the math and figure out how many steamers I've acquired in the last 15 months or so. It's been an insane number. Most of those I didn't buy. They are just ones from Herb's collection. Well, I did buy, but I bought them last September. Most of them I just spent the last year converting them to digital. So I got a lot of trains in that collection. Then this past September, I bought Herb's collection in 2024, and in September of 2025 I went on a 2-week binge where I kept finding really nice old Märklin locomotives for very, very good prices and bought a bunch of steamers, and that really expanded the collection a lot. So anyhow, I ran these locomotives on live stream, and I did a little teaser trailer where I showed all the locos, but I thought, just in case you didn't see, because the lighting, the poor angles, the trains moving too fast really catch, I just thought I would show my steamer collection. So in some ways this is a steamer meet the fleet. So without any further ado, here's the trains that ran in that live stream based on what line they were on and their order. So line 1 started off with this Class 01 steamer locomotive. It's got all sorts of Christmas decorations. It's a Märklin special. It's the first steamer we ever got. Joyce wanted an HO scale steamer instead of the El Cheapo G gauges we had been running around the Christmas tree. She wanted a real Christmas train. So we bought this one. My daughter bought a Santa Claus that we put in as the driver. And so that started off the show. And then it was followed by a regular Class 1. And really there's no major difference between these two models. The bodies and the shells are pretty much the same. There is a subtle difference in the tender. Besides the design, the space here looks a little longer than the space here, but that just could be my eyes deceiving me a bit. I think they are pretty much the same model. The third member was this Class 012, which I picked up a couple of months ago. It was on real cheap. I paid less than $100 for this. Saw it on eBay, was looking for something, and saw this and just said to heck with it and picked it up just to have a different high-speed passenger steamer. So this is a Class 012, which I believe is a modified Class 10. But it was nice. And then I'll bring the Christmas cars through in case you didn't see them. These are the yearly official Märklin Christmas Wagons. They are not in order. This was an order my grandson picked out. Although we did have to move this guy. It kept uncoupling for some reason in the live stream. I do not have every year because some years I just don't like how the Christmas car looks, and so I don't buy it, like the chemical silo one from a couple of years ago. But and this is the newest one. This is from this year. All right, let's look at line 2. Okay, line 2 began the stream with the one and only Flying Scotsman, my only HO scale UK locomotive, and we've all been through the colors not right, but hey, it's a 3-rail Märklin British locomotive, so it was either this or nothing, so I went with this. This is actually the 4th steamer I ever bought. Back when I was saying, I'm not really into steamers, but. So just a nice model. We replaced the Regal Flying Scotsman with this member of Herb's collection, which is a Bavarian, Royal Bavarian State Railway Class 18, sometimes known as an S3/6, but a Class 18. So this one was converted from analog to digital as just the basic functions, but you will see many Class 18s, but this is the first one in this video. And finishing the shift on line 2 for the live stream was this gorgeous, also maintaining the green theme in case anybody wondered. 3 different shades of green, but the green Flying Scotsman, the green Royal Bavarian Class 18, and then a French SNCF, a French Class 231. Again, it's just a 462, like the Class 18, like the Flying Scotsman, the Pacific class, I believe, the 462s. This is one of the most recent additions. I bought this one after a gift of some French cars from Dave at Scott Rails, and I felt I needed a French loco, and I found this one. I really wanted a 241, but the 231 is very, very nice here. Again, it's an older model that required some conversion from analog to digital, but just a fantastic looking model. And that was line 2. Line 3 began with a Class 44, a 210-0, one of the workhorses of the German steam era. These guys did heavy lifting in a lot of places in Germany. But the Class 44. And again, this is not a review. I'm just showing you which guys ran in case you didn't see it. But a Class 44. This one I bought after getting Herb's collection because I had a Class 50, but I wanted another German work locomotive, freight locomotive. The Class 44 on line 3 was replaced, even though it's on line 2 here in the live stream was line 3, was replaced by this workhorse of the German freight hauling steamers, the Class 50, which is also a 210-0. This was the 5th or 6th steamer I bought because I had a bunch after, I think I bought it before Herb's collection, but I had a bunch of Era 4 and 5 freight cars, so I needed a freight steamer, and this one came up inexpensive on eBay. It's digital. It's a great one. This guy hauls, and he smokes like Yul Brynner, if anybody gets that reference. All right, the third for line 3 was this recent addition to the fleet, a P38. I bought this at Ormondy's around the time I bought that 231 and a few others. I went mad and bought like 5 steamers in about a 3-week period. Or maybe even a 2-week period. I went to Ormondy's and bought this, and I wound up also buying the French one, but then I found a couple of others on sale, and I just, the prices were too good to pass up. another convert, although this I believe was the one that somebody had made digital, but it wasn't working, and I took it back to analog so I could make it digital again. But it's that basic decoder. But again, very cool looking loco, A460, so it's a little different than most. So that finished line 3, which are my main circuits. All right, line 4 saw 3 locos, pulling the Holiday Merrymaker, as I called it, which was a Rheingold set of passenger coaches that I put some Christmas lights on. And the matching loco, it was the first one to pull it. That is this Class 18. Another Class 18, an 18.5 to be specific. This was the second steam loco I ever bought. I bought this on an eBay deal for a ridiculous amount, ridiculous in a good way. It was about 1/5 of what the set was worth. The guy getting rid of it didn't know what he had, and I almost wanted to tell him, and then I said, nope, I'll just take advantage of it. I was so surprised nobody else bid on it, but it is an awesome set. But I bought it as a birthday present a few years ago. All right, when the 18.5 was retired, this Class 18, also a Rheingold locomotive, came in. This is a Bavarian Class 18. I want to say it's an 18.3, but I could be wrong. Can't remember if it's an 18.3 or an 18.4. Anyhow, this was the third locomotive I bought because I found this on eBay the same time I found the previous locomotive in its set, and this too was at an unbelievable price, so it became a Christmas present. I wound up buying both of them, and then Joyce took them and wrapped them. But a gorgeous locomotive. And line 4 may have been the most colorful between the beautiful coaches that were with it and the lights on it. Very distinct and different colored locomotives. The 18.5 in black, this guy in this beautiful blue and cream livery, and then the next fellow. So shift 3 on line 4 saw this guy. I think this is the newest steam locomotive in the collection, at least that I bought. This is a Württemberger C-Class. I picked up a group of cars real cheap south of here, and I wanted the matching loco. And there's debate as to which one was matching, but I found a set where Märklin had those same coaches and this locomotive. So I found this locomotive real cheap. I didn't pay much for it. It was part of that mad steamer spree I went on back in, I want to say September. And I just bought a crap load of steam locomotives, and I was getting them all for very cheap. So this guy happily joined the fleet and looks good and ran great. All right, line 5 was let off with this beauty, one of the earlier steam locomotives I bought. This was year, 2 years before I bought Herb's collection and got so many steamers in it. This is a Prussian Pieta, KPEV. Königreich Preußen Eisenbahnverbund. Kingdom of Prussia Model Train Group, Union, etc., however you want to look at it. Association. Anyhow, so I got some cars at a show in Cleveland a few years ago and needed a locomotive to go with them. And this was one of the 2 that were suggested, and I found this one for very cheap on eBay. It's a wonderful runner. Really, it's more of a passenger locomotive, but it did a great job pulling the freight train. But this is definitely a classic of mine, so it's really just a nice locomotive. Second shift on line 5 was taken by this little guy, a Class 24. This is from Herb's collection. Converted to digital, a strong runner, a solid puller. It can't pull long, heavy loads, but it does pretty well, and it's been a joy because this is, again, one of the earliest ones I converted to digital, and it's just really a sharp locomotive all around, and runs well, especially for its age. But it's just a classic. So did a good job. All right, the third and last shift on line 5 was taken by this little guy, a KLVM, Kleine Lokomotiven von Märklin, little locomotives from Märklin. This is a series of locomotives Märklin's done that are kind of generic shunters. They're not based on a particular class of locomotive. But Märklin made these to be inexpensive. And this is the first one of Herb's collection. Well, second one of Herb's collection. I converted to digital. The first one was the... Well, let me correct that. It's the third one I corrected because I did the class 18 and the class 24. And then this guy, as far as the steamers go, I also did some other ones. But started converting these, and this guy is a very good runner. He was actually part of a starter set, of which I have the other cars to the starter set. But there are special variations of it, which you'll see in a moment. All right, I'm going to put all of the ones that were working on the back row, pulling the beer wagons, line 6. I'm going to put them together because they're basically the same. We have this KLVM, and this one, all of these were part of Herb's collection. But this particular KLVM was a little different because it's labeled the same as the black, 1859. And from what I have learned, this was part of a very special regional release. And my brain's, whether it was released in Belgium as a startup kit, a replacement for the black 1859, but it was something like that. That's very cool. I'm glad to have it. This one was just one you could buy. You can see it says Märklin, or it says KLVM, and then 3087. 3087 is the model number. So they did release a bunch of these as individual models. So you could get them in different liveries or colors. This one is sort of based on the Bavarian style, coloring of the time and era. But they're both KLVMs, just like the black one I showed you earlier. And then there's this guy. He is the predecessor to the KLVMs. This is an old guy. I think my box dates him to 1961 or, yeah, I think it was 61. This is model number 3029. Again, this is not an actual locomotive or based on an actual locomotive. It is a generic cheapo. And I hate to say cheapo that way, but it was just a low price point starter model, maybe in a starter kit, sold separately as well. This came in its own box. And these were designed for somebody who wants to get a young child or a beginner into model trains. Not expensive, not flashy. One of the owners did add a incandescent light bulb on there. Once this focuses, you'll see it. The bulb has since burned out. It was working, but I think the voltage through the track here, even through the decoder that I've installed, I think the bulb has given up the ghost because it has stopped working after working just fine. But I'll do some more testing on it. But anyhow, those were the guys that ran the line 6 with the beer wagon still in the background. So that's the guys that ran up top. So now let me show you the guys that ran below. On the floor, we kicked things off with maybe the classic UK British locomotive. We had the A4 Mallard, as we say in America, or Mallard, as they say over there. At least I've heard many people say it that way. One of the most famous locomotives in the world, along with the Flying Scotsman. This is 00 gauge, so it is a little bigger on scale. But it should be a little bigger in scale because of its legend and its LNER livery.
gorgeous locomotive. I do love the A4s. The A4s are probably the ones that really got me to start thinking of steam trains more than just mechanical marvels and as artistic models. All right, teamed up to start the show with him was this, as you can see on the nameplate, the Duchess of Sutherland. Which, this, by the way, was a gift from Hot Dog Pilot in exchange for my old Mallard, which he fixed up, and I don't know what he's done with it, whether he's kept it for himself, but this was a beautiful gift. This I bought off of Brian Finn from Finnerton Central and his amazing shop. I think I paid £25 for this. He can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it was 30, because I bought some other stuff with it. But it runs wonderfully, and I love the color on it, and it's a beautiful Class A3. So those were the two 00 scale locomotives that ran. Now I'll bring in the last group to end this part of the video. All right, so after a while, I replaced, I think it was the Mallard with this one. This is another French locomotive. It's my first French locomotive. It is from Herb's collection. This is a Class 241. This is the locomotive that pulls the Orient Express, or one of them. It is absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous, part of Herb's collection, if I didn't mention that. And we've got the cars to go with it, although they need some... I've run them, but they need a little bit of TLC. Some of them are in worse shape than others. I would have loved to have been able to convert this to not only digital, but I need it to be 3-rail digital so I could run it on this layout. If I could have converted it, I probably would have never bought that 231. But as it is, this one makes rare appearances down below, and it's a beauty when it runs. It is definitely class. The last two are both from Herb's collection, and when I was planning to do this stunt on SteamerPalooza, these two were not included in the plans. This guy was a little bunged up and unable to move its wheels very well, but I had some time this week and decided, yes, I'm going to see if I can get it working and run it. It is, obviously, it's a 2-rail HO. This is a Fleischmann HO, and Fleischmann, you know, it means quality. He took quite a bit of cleaning work. And once I got him working, there's a little video where well, no, that was the 3029. But he took a little convincing. But once I cleaned it up and got it on the 2-rail tracks down below, he ran like a dream, and he did a great job in the live stream. And the other one is this Class 18. So you've already seen a Class 18. This is a Rivarossi. And, but it's just like the other Class 18 in green. It's a Bavarian Class 18. It's just from a different company. I do love the extra piping stripes on the tank to go with the striping along the sides. So I think this is a really sharp loco. I do have a bunch of Class 18s. And again, this one's 2-rail. But this one, the little pivot arm in here that connects the tender to the locomotive was snapped in half, and somebody, maybe Herb, maybe somebody before Herb, had tried to fix, but by the time it got to me, the fix had failed. So I put a fix in. I spliced the two pieces back together using a couple of very thin pieces of plastic as splints. And then I put a little bit, as you can see, green electrical tape around that. So super glue with splints. It ran beautifully. It really was one of the best runners. It ran as well as the Mallard did. It ran beautifully. So I was quite happy with it. So anyhow, those are the 23 steamers that ran. Technically, I could have gone 24. I have one other steamer that I did not run that I could have run. I actually have 4 other steamers that still need converted to digital, but that's a different story. The 24th steamer, and the only one that I could have run in the live stream and didn't, is this one. This is Emma. She is HO scale, but she's not really HO scale. Emma is a special steamer. It's from a famous story called Jim Button, or Jim Knopf in German, and Lucas the engine driver. And there's a Jim Button and Lucas figure from the movie that came out about 10 years ago. Maybe, yeah, 9-10 years ago. Anyhow, very cute movie. And figures characters from Michael Enda's book. There are, I believe, 2 books in the Jim Button saga. But anyhow, Emma really can't run because these wide lights get caught on can bump into other cars on the tighter track because they do extend fairly wide. But really on the inside track, I probably could have run her. I just didn't. Maybe I should have.
All right, so if you watched, I hope you enjoyed it. It's probably one of those videos you don't need to put up, but it just came to me and I thought, what the heck, I would do it. I enjoyed the live stream probably more afterwards than I did during, because it was a lot of stress for me. To decide to try this, to decide to run 18 steamers, and as it is, it was 23 because I ran 5 additional steamers down below, including 2 that I spent Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning working on those locomotives so that they might work on the live stream. And as it is, I got them all going. And other than one locomotive pulling a traction tire, they all ran really well. I was pleased. It was quite a Märklin show up above. But because all 18 steamers that ran on the upper layout were Märklins, so that was quite cool to do that. So at least this way now, if you didn't really quite see what we were running or didn't know what a class 1 looks like, well, this video will give you just a little bit of an idea. There are many variations, of course, of any class locomotive. So on that note, if you did watch this and enjoy it, I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you who supported the live stream. We had a nice turnout of people. It went so much easier than I expected. We didn't even have gremlins. We had fumbledy fingers here, just trying to touch up some things that had come apart between test runs, and that, such as this one car that kept uncoupling, and the couple of wires that the handy tack I was using to hold the wires on the cars loosened up in the heat that I turned on in the basement, and they started to loosen and the wires were popping up a bit, and I kept going to put the wire back in and knocking the car off the rail. So no gremlins, just some bad user error at times, so it was nice to get through. So on that note, I want to thank you all again. Merry Christmas to all of you if you celebrate. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate, Winterfest, Saturnalia, etc., etc. I'm going to say Auf Wiedersehen, Tschüss, and very happy trains. Take care, everybody.